happy to answer that. And I'm going to start sort of at the very beginning in Oakland, kind of where I made my name and literally stumbled into City Hall by accident and became an activist. The Domain Awareness Center, which today you would call a real-time crime center, was introduced to the city of Oakland on the consent calendar, which is for non-controversial ceremonial items. 2 weeks after Edward Snowden hit the front pages, and about 4 months after Occupy Oakland ended in a not so pleasant manner. So there's just a lot of energy, paranoia, suspicion of our governments during this time period. And the city thought it'd be a great time to introduce a citywide mass surveillance system with literally no privacy policy or guardrails in place at all. In fact, we didn't have any policies for any technologies, license plate readers, cell phone trackers, and so forth. And this system was going to aggregate all that data and share it with state and federal partners. And of course, that raised a lot of concerns. We opposed that project. And in the strangest twist, it legally survived in a very scaled back manner. And that created an ad hoc privacy commission. I was appointed to that. The council was like, okay, you guys are complaining there's no guardrails, go draft them. And Hector, we looked everywhere, federal, state, local, nobody had a model we could follow. And so we started drafting from scratch. Took about a year. And of course, as we were almost done, the ACLU introduces CCOPS, Community Control Over Policing Surveillance. And despite its name, it actually applies to all departments because at its essence, any technology, the data can certainly be obtained by the police. So we consider it all policing surveillance technology. But during the course of this crafting of this policy, we realized we needed a standing body. There's always going to be new and emerging technologies. No elected official has ever had the capacity and rarely the expertise to vet this stuff when they have 12,000 other things on their plate. They just don't have the time. There's not really an expertise on the administrative side. We don't have data scientists and ethics professionals and really even surveillance technology experts, to be frank. I often get terrified when I'm the most qualified person in the room. I'm not a technologist. I've bounced around law firms, but never at a civil rights or criminal defense firm. I should not know more than the people I'm speaking to. And so we created this advisory body. We're going to serve the city council and make recommendations, yay or nay, here's some guardrails we think that will help differentiate between appropriate and inappropriate uses. And the ACLU model in a nutshell, every proposal, whether it's a smart city application, whether it's license plate readers used for law enforcement, has to come forward with an impact statement and a proposed use policy. You bring them forth together because ideally any red flags or even yellow flags that you've identified in your analysis are going to be mitigated by the guardrails in your proposed policy. And that's where the Privacy Commission does its work. We have 9 representatives, we have 8 council members, and then the mayor also appoints someone. We are right now, especially very diverse. We are supposed to have expertise, different skill sets, could be hardware, software, civil rights lawyer, etc. To use our expertise, also lived expertise. We've got a former law enforcement officer on there because we wanted to hear the law enforcement perspective as well. And we vet these things. We work with the administrative staff to craft what we believe are a good use policy. The model was never originally designed to stop tech. It was to differentiate between appropriate and inappropriate uses. Now, some bans, and I've personally worked on some and advocated for some, have occurred, especially in the Bay Area, sort of core, Berkeley, San Francisco, Oakland, where we thought some things like facial recognition, predictive policing analytics were just too creepy. And also just the cost benefit analysis. That's another key part of this model, because if you get approved up front, and this is really turn the status quo on its head, after a use policy gets put into place, it goes in a garbage can, it gets cobwebs on it, and nobody ever looks at it again. There's never a cost benefit analysis. We're using taxpayer money. Does ShotSpotter actually reduce gun violence? I haven't seen it, but I'm paying $5 million for it in Oakland. So the brilliant part of the ACLU model is that if you get approved, you got to come back each year with an annual report and demonstrate not only good behavior, the primary goal, but efficacy. does this actually work? Did these license plate readers that you put all around town actually recover the stolen vehicles that you told us they would? And maybe during the course of that review, you also look at your policy. Yeah, that 30-day retention period was a little too aggressive. Maybe it needs to be 60 days, or those types of things pop up during the course of that review period. And that is the standard up front and during the annual report, same standard. The benefits to the community from using this tech in a certain manner must outweigh the costs, and the costs are both to civil liberties and to the taxpayer. Some of this stuff is kind of benign from a privacy invasive perspective, but it's also just garbage. It doesn't work. Other things, yeah, actually, they're actually pretty helpful. We should be spending more money on that. And so it kind of helps us allocate resources a little better. And just for the record, secure justice, we don't support the original ACLU model without a privacy commission anymore. I've just got too much personal experience. I consult with cities all across the municipalities all across the country on this. And if you don't have that reviewing body, one, it takes away an avenue for the public to participate in a more meaningful manner. And two, you just don't have the expertise. Things get rubber stamped. And that's sort of been the criticism of the ACLU model, is that, oh, you're just normalizing this. And in some jurisdictions, that's totally true. In Oakland, it's not. We definitely narrow use. We've eliminated what we believe are inappropriate uses. And so I do think it's been working that way. And although we're formal, it's kind of got more of a casual feel. People come to us and talk to us in a much different manner than they would at a city council meeting. Our audiences are generally a bit smaller, a lot smaller than a packed city council meeting. So there's more time for engagement. People get intimidated at a city council meeting speaking to their elected leaders. So we kind of take away that fear. And really the public gets a bigger bite at the apple. It's also more notice. I noticed Oregon's open meeting law is not good. It's not good in California either. We have a 72-hour minimum notice. So, and by tradition, state, city, and county governments all meet on Tuesdays. So they post something late Friday, no one sees it. Even if I do see it, who can I call over the weekend to meet with? And then they vote on it on Tuesday. And so the stuff is just sliding through the radars, sliding under the radar in most jurisdictions. The police are crafting their own policies without any public input into the rulemaking process. And so the ACLU model flipped it on its head. And I do think it is a game changer in that regard.